Okay. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Perry. Surprise, surprise, we've started into the radio show.
How are you today?
I'm good. And I think you're a little better right now
Yes.
than you were. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. Scott, just before, I have two questions from the viewers, okay? The first one asking, the bird that you described on the journey to Oceania, what bird is that?
What bird is that?
Bird. Yes.
Bird.
Yeah.
You mean the birds that are down on the island?
Yes.
They're the same birds that are on the parallel dimension of Lemuria on Earth. And they're the same birds you're going to find up in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy and in Satnam's realm as well, above the void known to the Buddhists. Because these are Atmas, souls or beings that are running these bird bodies. Those birds are intelligent. They can talk with you. They have vocal cords. They're just as intelligent as any human being. Those are beings running bird bodies that are very beautiful with two sets of wings, one's above the other, long V-shaped split tails. They look like a blue jay, the way they look, but they're bigger and with longer tails, and their whole body is like rainbow colored, blended very subtly, beautiful. And big eyes that wrap partly around their head, big blue eyes. They're quite beautiful.
And the next one from Peter Gore. As we look back from our journeys of Earth, does this mean that Earth is a round planet with polar caps, as you mentioned, and not flat? Thank you so much. What a beautiful planet we explore.
Oh, by the way, those birds are called trillions. Trillions.
Okay.
Trillions.
Trillions.
Trillions. What's the other question?
The question is, this Earth is flat or not? I mean, he asked, okay, I repeat. As we look back from our journeys of Earth, does this mean that Earth is a round planet with polar caps, as you mentioned, and not flat? Thank you so much. What a beautiful planet we explored tonight from the last show.
This person is starting to, listening to or wasting their time with people that think the planet Earth is flat. They might as well be in the Dark Ages under Roman rulership, thinking, or the Vatican, thinking the planet's flat. And if you go too far, you fall off the end. Kind of silly for people to buy into something that was wrong in the 1500s and then try to buy into it today. It's not flat. And you can take a boat and sail around that world, around the ocean, come all the way around back to the other side. Some people say there just means they're going around the surface like this, but it's really flat. It's silly. You get outside, listen, get outside of Earth and get out of your body and look at the multidimensional creation on all levels. You can see what it really is like. To listen to anybody's theories or beliefs is a waste of time. Because you can't prove it. You don't have any experience. It's just somebody else telling you what it is. You can believe it if you want to. People have wasted thousands of lifetimes believing in someone else's belief instead of doing the work to actually know it for themselves. It won't work. It's never going to work. The only thing that matters to an individual being on any world, in any dimension, anywhere, is their own direct experience about truth, what it is. It can't be faith and belief. Faith is a good place. If faith is like belief, if you want to believe something is true, it's a good place to start. But if you want to know if it's true, you got to go beyond faith into the direct experience, and that takes courage. To do that means you have to step away from the culture, social structures, limitations, beliefs, anything on a planet like Earth. You have to step out of that circle of people because they're all like the blind leading the blind in a circle, going around like this. Doesn't even get off the planet, much less have true experience. So People on Earth, because of the way they're brought up, don't really remember, they're not conscious of how to use their higher faculties to get around the creation itself while they're alive, while they have a physical body. Because what's really alive is not the physical body at all. The physical body only runs as long as an atom is running it, or it just sits there and does nothing. The intelligence is not in the brain and the skull of a human body. It's in the being that's running that brain. The reason people are so frustrated and confused is because when they look in the mirror, they still think they're a body with a brain. And that's who they think they are as a soul. Somehow it's this. It's not. Never was, never will be. This is something a being runs for a while till it either wears out or they just leave it, turn it off, heart attack, whatever you want to call it, they just leave. A being has to leave for the body to stop. The body could be so diseased or congested that certain things plug up and the heart stops or backs up and then that the body ceases to function. Then you have to leave. There's lots of ways people can live this life. One of them is to know what you are and take it out in the universe and then to the other dimensions while you've still got a body alive here. Why? Because then you know what's there beyond death before you die. Changes everything. It gets rid of fear of death for one, because there's no such thing. Bodies are like growing a chicken egg. Chicken forms in the egg, it hatches, it comes out. The being that makes that chicken run around is not the chicken or the brain in that chicken. It's an atma. Or it just doesn't hatch, it doesn't even breathe, nothing happens. Bodies cannot run on automatic without a being running them. The sooner people get that, the better off they're going to be to explore hidden truth and awaken it within themselves much more quickly. Until they really get that, they're not going to advance very fast at all. You can't expect wisdom of a multidimensional nature to fit into the tiny brain in a human body, because it can't. So the being has to go out in the universe where it has this greater expansion and wisdom, have its experiences, and bring back the memory of this to the physical form. They create a bridge between where they go when their body's asleep at night and what they do back to here. If you grew up on a planet and you never exercise or work intentionally to bring back what you're doing when you're out of your body at night, you won't bring back anything. It doesn't mean you don't have experience. It's just you're not bringing it back to this earth body out of a bad habit, really. No discipline, no training. So the higher faculties are just not used in people on earth. They're still there. People just don't even know it. They don't even focus on them or work with them to use them. They're atrophied, dormant, turned off, not worked, not exercised. So you see, they have to be turned back on, and the person has to actually creatively work with them to connect with beings that can help us, that do not have subconscious minds. Well, a subconscious mind is something that's subconscious, meaning the person, the being you, is not aware of what's in it. And if you're not aware of some part of your being and what's in it, some other time it probably is. And they can control people in ways the person's not conscious of. It's called subconscious. And no, it's not normal. Psychiatrists and psychologists on this earth have their own subconscious minds. They don't know what the mind is or how to heal anything. They don't know how to cure insanity or schizophrenia. They give people suppressive drugs to placate symptoms. Sometimes they get lucky. Most of the time, they just disable people further without realizing it. When you give someone a drug, and sometimes they're necessary, depends on the situation, and they have side effects that are addictive, then that's ultimately harmful to that person in the long run. It's trying to solve something with a chemical that can't be solved that way. Not, you can suppress something, but you don't solve it. There are all levels of psychiatrists and psychologists and paranormal people and hypnotherapists on all kinds of levels of capability. Some just following school training, administering drugs, others with more insight that maybe can help guide a person through a psychological problem because the being doing it is so much more advanced with the training. And they're all different, like anybody else on Earth. So we really are in this radio show to talk about health professionals, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, or any of that, because they don't know how to get out of their bodies general, or they don't remember who they are, how they came to be here either. I don't blame them for not knowing any better. How could they if they can't remember their higher faculties and where the mind is, which isn't even on Earth, where their emotions come from, which don't come from the physical body? How are they going to fix people in any kind of permanent way? They do the best they can, I guess, with what they have, like all of us. When a being can get off this earth and out into the grand cosmic multidimensional universe for themselves, they're operating in a higher form of energy, and they have greater capability and intellect and perceptive capabilities and knowing certainty and intelligence and sight and insight, and they can figure this stuff out and get things done that they can't do on this earth in just operating from a physical body. It's too limiting. So you see, what's important is that people discover who they are as a being, not a body, what it is, what it looks like, how to move it around, and who they are and what they used to know before something was done to them in galactic history that made them forget all of it. It's just that simple. It's difficult to, well, it's challenging. Let's not say difficult. It's challenging to get one single other human being on this planet to first admit that something was done to them that they don't remember, something that they did not consent to have happen to them, something that put them on this earth with no memory or very little. Just getting a person to admit that is the first step towards recovering all they once knew. That's the first step. They also have to have a tool that vibrationally works and telepathically connects with beings who are free, who weren't born on this earth, who do not have subconscious minds, who can spiritually, technologically, psychologically, emotionally help people on earth, who know how to do it. Because people on earth do not. If one person on this earth could show me a human being on this planet that could set them free of being unconscious on this planet, heal all ills, and immortalize their physical body, or turn back on genomes that are shut off, making them age and die in 80 years if they're lucky, and they think that's normal, and it isn't. You could show me one person that could do that, and they made it public. That person would never have a moment's rest. Everybody on this planet would be beating a path to their door. And one person couldn't possibly serve 7.5 billion people anyway. So you see, there's another practical side to all of this. How do you transform a backward, misdirected planet of subconscious, mind-ridden, terrorized human beings on Earth? You can't do it from Earth. Earth people can't do it to themselves because they don't remember. So sooner or later, the people on this planet are going to have to embrace, open their hearts, and become in harmony with beings that live beyond this world, who know how to do all this stuff and have for since ancient times in galactic history. If people don't even know beings live on other worlds, how are they going to ever request their assistance? If people are in terror of extraterrestrials because there's subconscious terror in them, and how are you going to ever have them come up to you and take care of problems or help? Most people would act in terror. If a man and woman landed on a ship and got out and said, "Hi, we are humans from another planet, we want to help you," they'd be running screaming. The vibration of such beings is so high compared to Earth people. The energy of it would turn on certain subconscious things and terrorize people. It's not coming from the extraterrestrials. It's inside the subconscious artificial creation in human beings on Earth. It's designed to keep people from remembering who they are, what they used to know about the grand multidimensional creation itself, and how to co-create properly within it. That's why I ask people to send out this statement. It is telepathic. It is not psychic. It is above and beyond psychic things. Not putting down psychic stuff. They belong in the 4 lower dimensions. But when you want to work with changing creation, you have to work in the worlds above the void, into the higher worlds. I know of one thing that connects people directly to the source without the need of an intermediary. That doesn't mean there aren't intermediaries or beings of masterful capability riding in that current between the source and us. There are. Beings on Earth would never recognize them. They wouldn't ask for their help because they'd be afraid of them. And the fear would block them from experiencing it consciously anyway. So something has to change in a human being, and that is their state of awareness, their state of consciousness. It has to be elevated vibrationally. I know there's one thing that starts this process for any and all beings that run bodies on any planet in any dimension. And it works for everyone the same way. First, it connects a person, the real being that's running a body. It opens a door through the pineal gland in the center of their physical human brain. It's like turning on a transmitter, a very special one. And then they send this statement out, and beings that are free out there, and there's nothing to do with evil and negativity and demons and all that crap. People make most of that up in their own consciousness out of terror and fear that they don't even know they have. It's subconscious. Getting out of your body is the opposite of what people think. They think the demons are going to get them, so they just stay stuck in a body on Earth and go, "I can't know any of that." What they don't realize is they're already stuck on this planet with no memory and held to the ground, walking around on Earth. They're already trapped. Getting out of their body isn't going to trap them further. It's going to help elevate them to see beyond the horizons and limitations of this planet and its culture, so they can remember who they are and take a breath of fresh air and come out and smell the roses and look at all the other beings and things that are out there. Stop being such childish, terrorized people. Most of the bases in the physical universe, in just this parallel dimension of the Milky Way galaxy we live in, are kind and very advanced. Many of them human. Not all, that's for sure. Some are bipedal, humanoid like us. It's longer ears or different hair or different eye colors or skin or height. But all of them have an Atma running that body. And in the case of most beings not on this planet, they're aware of this. They grow up like this, knowing it. People on Earth don't even know what the soul is or where they came from or what they used to know before they were born here. They don't remember. And they believe that's God's will or that it's normal. And it is not normal. This world is, if you go back in Galactic Alliance history enough, it was created to be like a Switzerland under a treaty at the end of a great war. Nobody on the internet talks about this stuff on Earth. They don't remember. In that treaty, Earth, because of where it was during this war, became like a place that no one race, good or bad, tyrant or benevolent, was allowed to dominate, come over and take over. It's kind of like Switzerland was in World War II. Nobody invaded it. Hitler didn't come through there. They used their banks. A lot of people did. But they didn't really go through there or take over Switzerland. Nowhere during the war. It was a neutral country. I'm just making an analogy here, a metaphor, if you will. Earth is like that under Galactic treaty that goes back 500,000 years. The treaty is, in a sense, being disbanded because it's been broken so many times by tyrant extraterrestrial races, the few that are out there. They're not the majority. And they will try to sneak people, steal things, and steal property and get more planets any way they can, behind everyone's back, just short of going to all-out war. Because if another war happened, they would lose again. They're sore losers. So Earth has had to be protected in a special way, particularly more so since after World War II. Because the development of nuclear bombs was not created by scientists on this planet without the influence and direct illegal intervention of tyrant beings from other worlds who slipped the information into Nazi Germany's scientists first, illegally. We weren't ready for it. Beings that know better don't build them anymore. They're illegal. There's no constructive use for them whatsoever. There's no constructive use for nuclear power in a nuclear power plant. It's overly expensive, hugely costly to use nuclear isotopes to make steam to move turbines like a dam of water does. And if it gets out of its lined container, it kills everything. Nobody uses that kind of energy, and no sane culture on any world in any dimension would ever think of doing it. People on Earth just do it like it's their right to pervert their own world and take it out in space and throw it on everyone else. Earth and its people are quarantined in this solar system. And they're never going to be allowed to leave it and play among the stars until we're a sane planet of people. Because our space is already occupied by more advanced races than what is on this planet. And we can't go and take them over. Bring our nuclear weapons out there and our consciousness of lies and deceit and dishonesty and classified systems. It won't work. It's never going to work, which means the direction people think this world's going from the way governments disseminate information to them has no future. There's not going to be a Star Trek in the future of this planet with warp-driven ships flying around with radioactive cores. That's never going to happen. This planet has to catch up with other races, not the other way around. Now I'm talking about other human races in other worlds, human beings far more advanced than here. If people want to play in that arena and have the intelligence to understand the technology, even the spirituality of it, and the way this world is and its people has to change dramatically first. And when we do, I know for a fact, many races from the stars will simply give us their technology and allow us to utilize it to come visit them and play among the stars. They don't operate from fear like we do. They're not intimidated by the reverse engineered weapons Earth has. Baby stuff to them. They use energies far above that kind of thing. And nuclear weapons are illegal outside of this planet. They're never going to be allowed to take them there, not outside the solar system. They're not even going to be allowed to use them on this planet. That's one of the things governments are not telling people, that they're not allowed to use them. Why do you think I take the time to share this with people? When I'm saying this stuff, it's telepathic. It's not psychic. I'm not putting down psychic things. I'm saying it's telepathic. It's a pure form of communication that does not involve itself with negative and positive streams of energy. It is a communications network between atmas, not the bodies, between the beings that run bodies, and the source of all life itself. It's a continuous, omnipresent living energy field. When beings wake up enough to plug their little pure teardrop into that ocean of teardrops, they have access to the whole thing. And they have the understanding awakened in them to circumnavigate the multidimensional creation, to explore and experience in childlike wonder, and to then be inspired to create new ways of doing things for the benefit of all life, and never just for life on their one planet, not even for life in one dimension, for life in the entire multidimensional creation. That is the destiny of a human being. I should really say of the Atma itself. An Atma, what people call soul on earth, is not and does not look like the human physical body. It's spherical, like a sun or a planet. It has a white energy core and levels and layers of different colors of the light spectrum. Each has these little teardrop shapes in it that are individual faculties or capabilities, memory, on many dimensional levels in each single Atma. An awakened Atma knows how to look into any of those and utilize them. A being that's been subjected to terror and torture somewhere in the past, in a certain way, doesn't remember any of this or how to access any of it. And if they try to, a subconscious memory will play on their nervous system or their physical body and create a lot of havoc. And they'll be terrorized and they'll run the opposite direction they need to recover who they are. So when I work with the hue, it comes with a certain protection that's inherently within it. When I go into the hue, vibrates the physical head upward only. Number one, doesn't work with the lower chakras. It vibrates the pineal gland in the center of the brain. And it opens a particular doorway. And then that hue from that being goes all the way back to the source from whence they originally came. It connects to it and says, I want to recover and come back home and share what I've learned for the benefit of all life. This is what process is started. Once that process begins through the divine spirit, the first sound or word behind all creation, the hue, it's irreversible. It goes one way, and that is all the way into recovering who they are until they can fulfill their purpose, which is to be a trustworthy, conscious, free co-creator with the source itself on every dimensional level of existence. We are, as an Atma, in a sense, multi-dimensional beings. It means the Atma and what it's made of is not made of time and space and the molecules of all those lower dimensions. It's made of an energy that is not part of that. And it gets into or works through a body in those different planes, made of matter of those different planes, in order to experience, as a form that isn't physical, what physical reality is like, what they can learn from it, and how they can contribute to it in new ways. This is the original purpose of each being. There are Atmas like us that run bodies that are not human out in space. Many of those races are quite wonderful and kind, but not human. And beings are having the experience of running different types of bodies to gain the experience. Beings out there that work together that are non-human and human alike together in organization do so knowing they are Atmas running different bodies, and they share the wealth of wisdom they've gained with each other telepathically, which makes sense. To do anything else would just be destructive. They left that game back several billion years ago, that destructive game. Earth is still in the background trying to catch up with all this. It was interfered with this planet And beings were brought here as slaves and made unconscious and left behind in over 50 million years since beings were coming here from other worlds, since the dinosaurs were made extinct. This planet's history is way beyond what people understand. And it's far more ancient than what they think is 10,000 years of recorded history. That's a joke. It goes back millions of years. Many, many millions of years. You got a whole planet of human beings living here who can't remember any of it, or very little. They don't remember galactic history. They don't remember that they came here as an extraterrestrial themselves once long ago from another human planet. Human beings never evolved here, Perry, in the first place. Which means people on Earth don't even know what their own lineage is, what developed this body form to this level. This level of human body's been around for several billion years on other worlds and other galaxies. It's not new. There's no missing link anybody's going to find on this planet that will tell them what the origins of human beings are, because they didn't evolve here originally. They're never going to find the missing link here. But they are going to find that missing link when they can go out and play among the stars with races who've recorded that history, that know what it is. Until people have direct experience with this, they're not going to know. And they're going to be in doubt and fear until they do. This goes for everyone on this planet, classified, royal families, hidden, elite government, whatever. They're all suffering from the same unconscious state. And so because of that, they make a lot of decisions that are not the best. Deciding nuclear radioactive materials was a good idea. It was a misdirection perpetrated by aliens who are not kind, by the way. People didn't come up with that on their own on this planet. If that kind of thing had not been policed under that treaty and stopped their inroads, this world would have been destroyed. Nuclear war would have happened decades ago here. So don't think that people from other worlds are not involved here, because if they hadn't been, to some degree, without just taking over and running things, this people on this planet would have destroyed everything here. And that would have negatively affected life on many other realities people don't know exist yet on this planet. Parallel dimensions of Earths in the same space at different time rates, with billions of people would have been negatively affected by a nuclear war. And it would have negatively affected our solar system and other races out in our galaxy, and they're not going to tolerate that. We do not have the right, as a planet of unconscious people, to perpetrate such an abusive, self-abusive thing. So without breaking the treaty, benevolent beings intervene just to the point to keep us from destroying ourselves in nuclear war. They don't interfere in governments and try to take everybody over. Tyrants will do it in a heartbeat. And they've tried here. But if we weren't somewhat intervened with by benevolent beings who are trying to get this planet to a point to where the entire culture can be disclosed safely, the truth about extraterrestrial life, and start to play among the stars. That's what they're trying to get it to that point, where that 100th monkey story, that viral thing, this energy goes viral worldwide, then everybody just starts waking up out of this mess. It's going to take billions of beings from other worlds to help us do that. We won't make it on our own anyway. Forget about global warming. Just the pollution in our atmosphere would destroy all life on this planet eventually if it was left unchecked. People don't even ask the right questions down here. You know, all these nuclear power plants that exploded and blew big rods 15 feet tall up into the air, out into the atmosphere in Fukushima. Did you know only one person in all of that died from radiation exposure? One. Should have killed everybody in Japan or the Western United States just from those 4 reactors. That's how dangerous that stuff is, how stupid it is. Originally, they had these 2 reactors in Alamogordo in secret. And they use them to produce, you know, ready to have a reactor to get spent fuel rods so they could make bomb grade ore out of it for bombs. It wasn't even for electricity then. Not really. That is not a technology that people just came up with during and after World War II on their own on Earth. Negative influences of that came from outside this planet. You wonder why people classify the existence of extraterrestrials? Do you think they want to tell people that such races have been penetrating and covertly operating on this planet and that they've had to been somehow extricated from the planet and shipped home? None of that's disclosed to the public on this planet. It would have scared them to death. There are aspects of the classified community and people that work within it that have had to have carried secrets with them their whole lives, knowing how diabolical and how dangerous things have been here. In some ways, they're justified and classified. In other ways, they are not. The reason I'm saying this is when beings, will they create laws or justify lying to everyone else for even good intentions? It's a negative output of imagination through the physical nervous system. That means these classified people in the space program, the hidden government, suffer and die of disease just like anyone else because they're busy having to deceive the rest of their fellow men and women here to keep it classified. And it's harmful to their health. Can't be anything else. So you see, it behooves everyone, the sooner the better, to disclose fully what they know about extraterrestrial life to the rest of this populace. Doing it's not the problem. Doing it in a way that will be safe without destruction, without toppling governments, is the way that it needs to happen. So we don't have people starving in the street and trucks don't get to supermarkets and all that kind of thing. People have to be ready. The tight knot coiled up in them subconsciously that terrorizes them needs to be unraveled first so they can handle this change and go through it and come out the other side of it and then play among the stars and have a whole different history created for this world for the first time ever. Hi, Starlight. He wants to come up and say hi now. I guess he's been talking to Terrell. Better come up then and say hi to. Okay.
Hello. Yeah, I saw him over there once he woke up.
Yeah, he's just getting all grouchy, but he's going to take a look at you. Now, when he's looking at you, he's also looking at everybody that's listening to the show. Right through the illusion of just two of us. Right through the frequencies, and then he's checking things out. He's pure. He's got no blocks, so he can telepathically send what he sees right to Terrellian. And he's just so clever, so low-key, you'd never know. That little Atma running this kitty body can do such things. That's why he's so calm here. He just looks. He wants to come up. As you know, he joins every one of these Zoom things, private and group and radio shows. He hears it. He knows what's going on from the other end of the house. He'll come up here, make his presence known, do what he does. It's all good for a little bit. And then when he's done, he'll go over on the bed or go out, go back downstairs or something. He just does his little thing. He's a real good friend that way. Okay. Took you a while, huh? Well, we never went on a journey tonight. It's 9:48 already in my end of the world. So let's do a little exercise for the good of everyone, just to kind of top this off. What I'm sharing with people is all true. And when I say it, there is conviction and confident certainty in my voice about what I'm saying. I don't care what instruments any classified people use when they detect what I'm doing. It means this guy is telling the truth. And they can react negatively to it if they want, but it's not meant to harm any of them. The people I work with, the beings I work with from other planets, haven't gone out and executed classified government or wiped out covert this or that. But they are beginning to work with those individuals to help them get off the terrorizing subconscious fear they're suffering from as well. It has to include everybody and everything on this planet. It can't favor any one group, one religion, or anything else, and it's not going to. So people on Earth might as well get used to it. The greater God they want to know, the greater universe and all the beings in it on many multidimensional levels, what they call higher heavens, they have to come to know for themselves. I got to leap beyond this limiting, suppressive thing called faith, if that's all they have, and cross paths with higher beings and things that will help them recover and remember and know greater stuff about the very thing they think they're worshiping. Just believing in it doesn't make them qualified or to be trusted to go out there and co-create with that source they believe in. They have to actually be qualified too. And that means they cannot be operating from subconscious terror and fear. They're not going to go to any permanent heaven operating that way, because that would just allow beings into such places that would create havoc and destruction subconsciously without even knowing they're doing it. This is the practical nature of the multidimensional universe outside of Earth. Everybody on this planet, even if they don't know it yet, has the capability as a being, not a body, to understand this stuff, to remember it. I'm going to begin these tones. What they're designed to do is to shut off subconscious negative terrorizing programs in people they don't even know they have. So they can come up into the air and breathe and think and remember and see things again for a short time. It kind of opens doorways for a process to begin to help unravel this in them. Wherever your audience is, if they relax and imagine putting all their fears and concerns for everything they have somewhere beside them, on the ground, on a shelf, out in the yard, whatever, just see fear this, fear that, doubt this, doubt that, all that kind of thing. These are all artificially created negative subconscious terrorizing emotional drives. They're programs. Put them aside. And when I begin the hue, people close their eyes, then their eyes are not working. The brain can't imagine anything with the eyes closed if they think imagination comes from the brain, because it doesn't. With the eyes closed, and as we go on this journey and people start to see what I'm saying, they're seeing it from their true self, the being, not through the body. And they need to come to recover this understanding and ability to know the difference. When the eyes are open, you see what's in this world. The brain can see that, but it's not a source for storing memory like people think, except how to run a body, the coordination of running a body. The real mind of a person and the ability to see and hear and know things comes from the Atma, the real them, that's running a body. And it's that which sees things when the eyes are closed. Okay. You. When an atma on Earth running a body relaxes, the fear is shut off, temporarily at least. Their brain secretes melatonin, serotonin from the pineal gland, the center of the brain, and it puts the body in a peaceful, calm sleep state. Means the body's running automatic, eyes are closed. Same thing you do when you put the body to sleep at night. Keeps the heart working and the heart, lungs pumping and blood circulating. It's perfectly fine. And then the being goes off on a journey into the grand multidimensional universe while the body sleeps. What we're doing is doing the same thing with a guide speaking, sharing telepathic views in multi-dimensions and 3 dimensions or more. What these places look like we travel to, helping to recover the memory within the Atma of how to do this. Then the Atma begins to see this stuff in their imagination, what they call imagination. But that's not made up in the brain at all. There's nothing in the brain that has a camera or motion picture to project film on so you can look at stuff. That's not what the brain does. It's not designed to do that. People on Earth have got that all backwards. The being that runs the body is not made of physical matter. It is energy, but not energy as people understand it on Earth yet. That energy that makes up each being is identical with, in every way, what they call the Supreme Being or Source itself, Prime Creator. Collectively, all beings make up this one mighty field, this ocean of sound and light that is pure, that underlies and connects all things in the multidimensional universe together, including Atmas. It's a field of energy upon which we move, live, and have our being. Like a boat riding on an ocean, so to speak. When a being leaves their physical form, as we're doing now, the body's asleep, but you, the being, are not. We break the cycle of thinking that you have to go unconscious when the body, when it goes unconscious and goes into the sleep state. This is just a bad habit. The body, it's good to put to sleep, to give it rest, but then you should be off doing things. We do this when the body ceases to exist permanently, what people on earth call death, and the being has to go do something with itself somewhere else anyway. Might as well learn how to do that while the body's still alive. Why? Because the only thing any being takes with them when this body ceases here on earth is what they're aware of. No more, no less. And it's what they're aware of that recreates the conditions of their next life. Or to be free from having to live and be incarnated in bodies unconscious with no memory. For all of you, the body is in a serene state. If you're listening to what we're doing and going with it, remember that you are co-creating this with me, the primary source behind all life, people call divine spirit, or the first sound behind all creation. And they're connecting into it. And it's familiar to people, even if they haven't remembered it for 1,000,000 years, because long ago they once could do this. Every being on earth could do this at one time. See, they don't remember the real history of this planet or the history of the galaxy from which they came. No being, human, of any race, originally evolved on planet Earth. Most mammalian and plant and animal life and insect species and many other things didn't either. They were brought here. They continue to evolve or to go through evolution on a physical level to some degree while they're here. But they didn't originate here. Dinosaurs didn't originate on this planet either. They were brought from worlds where those species evolved into the giants they were and brought here as an experiment. Long ago, more than 50 million years ago. And then they were made extinct, which means humans in this form we're used to on Earth today have been capable of living on this planet for more than 50 million years. Where's the missing history? Human beings didn't suddenly evolve out of some primordial soup, 500,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago or something like this. Okay. Be above wherever you are in the atmosphere, above where you live. If you're sitting in a chair, lying in a bed, in a car, on the ground, and look down and see your body lying there peacefully in the sleep state, the trance state we call sleep. It's easy to do this because when you're just daydreaming on Earth and you think of a waterfall or a hummingbird or a beautiful bird or the mountains or the beach, you can do it easily. You just, oh yeah, I remember what that was like being on the beach last week. Same thing, except you're imagining things in a much more grand and multidimensional way now, not just limited to planet Earth. Look down and see your body there, right through the roof of wherever you are. You can see right through it like you have X-ray vision. And you can hear a sound running through the energy in the atmosphere behind the oxygen. And it's a white light with a gold tinge, and it's kind of vibrating everywhere through the air. It continues out into space, through the void of space, to other worlds. And it goes up into higher dimensions. This is the original sound behind all creation, the first vibration, before there was any light, as people think of it. It vibrates at a frequency above the range of human beings' visual perceptive capabilities. But the Atma can see it perfectly. It doesn't use physical eyes to see and know things. It works in an entirely different way. That's what each one of you really is. Remembering this is what people refer to as enlightenment. Most of enlightenment is more, and particularly on a planet like Earth, is more about remembering what you once knew. and then going into greater wisdom and experience after that. Be above the planet Earth. You guys have seen images of the Earth shot from the space shuttle, cameras, and telephoto lenses. You've seen images of the Hubble telescope taking pictures of Earth all over the planet. Beautiful blue-green sphere with big vast oceans and polar ice caps. Everybody knows what that looks like. Only now you as an energy being, not a physical body, you don't need to breathe oxygen up here. You're energy. And you can see the Earth from an orbit above the planet. I'm there, Perry's there. Ambassador Turellian of the mighty Sayres race, which were once 18 to 20 foot 5 tall human beings, didn't evolve originally in this galaxy, but in other galaxies, and helped bring many races into existence like our form. Another bipedal, reptilian, gray, tall whites were all once peaceful, kind beings long ago. And then something happened that terrorized them, and they became tyrants. This is all reversible. Certain human beings and races out there became tyrants also. From above this Earth, when you look at each other floating up here, you'll see yourself. But when you look at someone else, you'll see an orb, a spherical shaped being with a white core floating there, lighting up the black dark of space. We're providing our own light here. It comes from the core of our being. When you look out into space, you can see all the billions of stars in our galaxy. You can see the moon orbiting the Earth. And here you are, astronauts without a ship. So effortless, so easy. Imagination is not something created through or by a physical body or the brain. It is the ability the Atma or soul has to look into the grand nature of the multidimensional universe and see and know things instantly by a highest faculty called direct perception. When you look around in space, you can see Turellian, a little bit brighter than we are as an atom. He's much older and more wise, but he does not put himself above us. There are beings on Earth that beings from other worlds are taking great interest in. Because as suppressed as people on Earth are, they have the capability to travel to very high levels, higher dimensions, above the void known to most Buddhist monks, into the realms that exist beyond it. They do. I've been there. I go there all the time. One thing I can share with all of you here is that when I went to that source, Supreme Being, Prime Creator, what is there never demanded or insisted or encouraged that we worship it. That was never the original plan. It was that we respect each other and all life, including it. That's it. If you can get a human being to respect all life in the whole creation, on other worlds and other dimensions, it then finds it has the ability to play in it, to explore it, to be safe in it, and to meet with all kinds of wondrous beings they otherwise would never meet up with. Here we are, floating in orbit above the planet in our imagination. Imagination is not fantasy. It is the faculty the Atma uses to know things. Let's take a little journey up the dimensions that people don't remember. Turellian and I are going to form in the center of this circle of floating orbs, and many other beings that are on this trip. There are dozens of them, Perry, and several people from what I call the Galactic Alliance, men and women, couples often, that are helping to assist people on Earth to recover their memory. They're going to go on this journey with us because they learn from us too. We're forming a circle of these spheres around Turelian and myself in the center. We're only in the center to act as a focal point, so people will have something to stay focused on and not get scattered. We're going to go through a vortex that's forming. It looks like a cyclone, but it's not violent. It's a gentle moving energy of blue-violet light that opens a doorway in the fabric of space. And up it, all of us can see way up there, way at the other end, a bright white light. And then we're going to signal to all of you to simply fly up. Your app can move through space, and you'll feel compelled, encouraged rather, to just circle around Turelian and spiral right up inside this vortex. And then we're moving at the speed of light up through it. And we're passing what are called the 4 lower dimensions, great grand divisions of multidimensional levels in the lower dimensions of time and space. We're leaving behind the physical parallel dimension we live in on Earth and going through 144 successively higher vibratory levels of it, where life exists. And then past a barrier into the astral plane where emotion comes from. At 144 levels of it, you can see these passing below us on the outside of this blue-violet vortex of light. It's transparent. And up through the causal plane, 144 parallel dimensions of it. And up into the mental plane, the same. And the etheric, what people call the unconscious or sometimes subconscious, because you have to be up in this area to even know it exists. And then there's a big empty void. You could call it a dark area, but it's really not dark. It's just appears to be empty. And it seems to go in every direction into infinity. And this group of us around Turelian and myself are flying out the other end of this vortex into this void. We're not stopping to get lost here. We're moving straight forward somewhere. And at very quick speed, you begin to see off in the distance what looks like a white sand beach. And as we get closer to it, it extends in every direction in one long horizontal line. This void, this energy, this void, like an ocean, is up against the shore of this white sand beach. It is a barrier that separates the upper dimensions from the lower worlds, the lower dimensional realities. And we're crossing over this beach over a tropical, it's not even a tropical paradise. It has trees that look tropical, but everything is landscaped, architectured, beautiful horticultural gardens and waterfalls and streams, just gorgeous. These birds we talked about earlier that look like a blue jay with bigger bulbous blue eyes that wrap partially around the sides of their temples. They have 2 sets of wings, one on top of the other, like bird's wings, but 2 sets like a dragonfly, and long V-shaped split tails like a swallow, but much longer. And they're singing, flying from one tree to the other in front of us, stopping to fly up in front of us. These atmas they can see, these spheres, and they'll talk with us. They have vocal cords here. Their feathers are like rainbow colors, smooth patterns all the way up and down their bodies. And they sing with beautiful voices in harmony. They're just passing by on their way, and we're flying over the top of this countryside. The energy here is vibrant and luminous. Everything here is self-luminous. There's no sun. It's daylight, but you don't see a sun. There's no stars in this realm. It is not a place of matter, space, and time. It is a place where the Atma originated from before it was sent into the lower worlds for experience. And you're going to come over you're going to see like a crystalline palace up against a mountainside, off in the distance. And then there's this fountain sitting on the ground with a circular clearing around it and beautiful horticultured landscape gardens around it. And all of us, including Turelian and myself, are flowing in a circle as the orbs we are, spheres, and coming to stand on what appear to be feet, our feet, on this white marble stone that surrounds this fountain. It looks like it's made out of white alabaster with scalloped edges, has a round cylinder holding it up and a square base. And in it is the statue of a man. The man has his arms down to his side, bare-chested with a white kind of tunic, all dressed down to just above his ankles, bare feet. He's got 2 golden bracelets on his upper arms, circular. He's bald. He looks to be about 36, timeless, tightly bronzed skin. And he's standing there with this white light with a gold tinge pouring out of the palms of his hands into this white alabaster bowl, filling it up. And it's luminous. It looks like water, but it isn't. It flows in an even sheet, smooth, transparent sheet all around the outer edge. And when it hits the ground, it vanishes into the ground. The being who's in the statue, you can see now standing off near the jungle path that leads to here. He's standing there smiling with his arms folded. His name is Sat Nam. He is the governor, for lack of better terms, of what is called the Atma plane. Now, this is above the void node to most Buddhist monks, the first major divisional dimension in what's called the higher worlds. The energy here is pure positive. It splits into a positive and negative stream after it gets to the other side of the void below here, as it enters the etheric plane. The nature of creation is very vast and multidimensionally layered. We are now in the plane where beings get their original commission or mission to go in the lower worlds. We are still the beings we always were, but in our journeys in the lower planes, things happen, unexpected things, that caused the Atma to forget and not remember any of this. There are beings who have propped themselves up as the supreme source to get people to worship them, to steal their energy. This has been going on Earth for many thousands of years, and other worlds too. They are not the real source. Only tyrants want people to worship them, to put them on a pedestal. This is not the way or the nature of the actual supreme source behind all life. It does not require that we worship it. It only asks that we respect each other and all life in the entire grand multidimensional creation. If we do that, then we get to play in all of it. That is the destiny of a human being. To come back here with Sat Nam and then beings in higher realms above here, to be trusted co-creators with such beings, to develop new ways of doing things, to solve the biggest problem there is. And here you have the capability to understand this. It is to solve the experiment of evil that went terribly wrong. A failed experiment for what it was intended to do billions of years ago. And it's being retired, replaced with what is called the new ray in the hue itself. It's an evolving consciousness that, as it retires these subconscious things in people that drive them to be negative and afraid and to act terribly, it replaces it with this ray, which is an intelligence that inspires them to only create that which is of uplifting benefit to all life everywhere. When we can do that, the doors to the higher worlds open to us. The Sat Nam is waving his right arm towards this fountain. You're going to see a series of curved white steps leading up to its edge. Each one of you here has an energy body that looks like your body on Earth, but young and healthy and vital. It's not a physical body, but it looks like you. The sphere that you are is up above it, running it. And you are asked to step up these steps and walk into. You watch what happens with this statue. It starts to dissolve into a beam of white light with a gold tinge, a huge wide beam, the width of the entire bowl, diameter of this bowl. and it fills the bowl and spills over the edges and keeps running down through the void, down into the lower worlds. And we're going to move our being, the Atma, and this physical form right inside it. And it's going to be roaring past us. It doesn't drag you down. It just moves through you effortlessly. The being that you are and the physical form you are getting lighter. And they're starting to glow a little bit. Something new is being added. And this is the same for all beings on this journey tonight. While you're in this fountain, send this energy, stay at the fountain, but send it all the way down through the planes, through this fountain, where it connects to the top of your physical head in the trance state called sleep, all the way back on Earth. And it flows through you, the physical form, and out through your form into the walls and out into the countryside until it encompasses the entire planet. It connects to 3 giant golden pyramids that are on Earth now turned on. 2 on the deepest of Earth's oceans, the floor, and 1 inside a special mountain in the Himalayas. And it connects through them, and then it goes into fountains that are inside them, and then it goes into you, back to you, and then out through you, out to the world, out through the planet, out into space, and off on other directions to benefit others, not just on Earth. While you're up in the fountain, take a look around. Remember, you're this spherical being, and this physical form you have there is, in a sense, mimicking the one you have on Earth, to send the awareness of this journey, a recording of it, into your physical consciousness. This is the kind of thing you want to be able to do when you put your body to sleep at night. When you wake up in the morning, you want to be able to bring back the awareness of what you did all night when you weren't here on Earth. This begins this process, starts to open the doors to it. But we have to be aware of how this works and what it's like first. There's an old saying in the Hue: you can only have as much of the Supreme Source as you can imagine, no more, no less. So we really want to be able to imagine our way through the whole multidimensional creation. The Atma, the real you, has the functional capability and the wisdom to know not only the source and what it's like, to merge into it and come out of it, but how the multidimensional creation works and to understand it. People on Earth don't believe this. They have no idea this is possible, because it isn't possible for a human body or brain. But it is possible for the real person, the Atma, what people on Earth call soul. You're going to come out of this beam, find your feet touching these white steps, and walk down, get overboard towards Satnam, who's standing there smiling, and just tell him, thanks for allowing us to be here. And he's now telling us, thank you for coming. Because every time beings as trapped on Earth can come here, it's always an amazement to him. It's an amazement to Relian. It's an amazement to me that beings on Earth, as trapped as they are, can come here and see this, visualize it, have the experience of it. Because tyrants did something to them that said you could never do that. We're doing it anyway. This is very important that each person on this journey understand they're doing it, really doing it anyway. This begins reversing the entire suppressive trap within them. It's a gradual process at first. A person needs to live a balanced life, and in fact, a better and more balanced life on Earth while this enlightening process is taking place. The new ray in the Hue sees to it that it's done this way. No need for fear, because when we're up in this plane above the void, what you need to understand is that no negative emotion or imagination of any kind, including thoughts, can cross the barrier between the upper and lower worlds. It cannot come here. So you, while you're experiencing this in this fountain, there's nothing of any negative nature about you here. You want to send this true understanding of what you really are and always have been back to your physical consciousness on Earth, so one day it will accept this. That is what we call enlightenment on Earth. Okay. You're going to move out of the fountain, up into the atmosphere. And then Torelli and I are in the center. And Shantiel and Tonatiel, a couple of Galactic Alliance couple I know, very loving, wonderful beings, are to each side of me. And then there's the rest of us in a circle around here. And that's going to begin to spin in a counterclockwise motion. And then this blue-violet vortex opens up below our feet. And all the way down through it, we can see us hovering, still hovering, in orbit above planet Earth. We're going to leave a part of ourselves here in this Satnam realm, in this Atma plane, above the void. So it can continue to work there while you're back on Earth going through your week. You look down and you get a signal from Torellian, and we move swiftly, like the speed of light, down through this blue-violet void, this vortex spinning around us, until we find ourselves right where we started, in orbit above planet Earth, looking at the polar ice caps, looking at each other. And then each of you look down on your body, wherever it is, in the trance state called sleep. Stay here, and then suddenly find the Atma spherical form of you is hovering above your body, above about where the ceiling is. You're also up in the Atma plane, you're in orbit above the planet, and you, another part of you, is also projected here on Earth. And there is a link moving of energy between them. Then you'll experience yourself more fully above your body as a spherical being, looking down on it, smiling. Let the memory of this experience pass into your physical consciousness. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. You turn your mic on.
I'm glad we all go there today.
How do you feel?
I feel great. There is something special, I think.
This would be very good for the listeners. As you know, I'll send you a recording of this journey, and you'll put it up on your website, your YouTube channel, and people can play it. Hopefully without anything but just a little commercial at the front of them that after a few seconds they can shut it off. But then they can listen to this whole video uninterrupted and go on the journey again another time when they're rested, they've eaten, no one's going to disturb them, put on some headphones. Go on the journey again, because they're going to recover and remember a lot more they couldn't all bring back this one time. It's exponentially expanding as they do this. Gets better.
Body expanding too now.
So I want to leave you and your radio audience with this as they work with it, the confidence, the certainty of knowing that has been suppressed in them will surface more and more. It becomes more effortless and easy. So I'll leave you all with that, and I wish you pleasant dreams.
Yes.
And I wish everybody out there listening very pleasant dreams. Go to bed tonight remembering this experience, wherever you are in the world. Wonderful things can happen from that.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.